Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Games Blog Saturday review.
Rejoice, my friends, it's time for our annual convention where collectors from around the world gather to trade their tiny postal treasures. We must prepare our most beautiful and best arranged collection and show it to the expert crowd. If we do well, we may walk away with the top prize of this year's
Stamp Swap by Paul Salomon from Stonemaier Games. My stamp collection, which I still have, consists of hundreds of German stamps. However, it's not just any German stamps. The pages in my two big stamp books are filled with Deutsche Bundespost Berlin stamps, which were issued specifically for West Berlin. The collection covers stamps from 1948 up to Germany's reunification in 1990, after which there were no more Berlin-specific stamps. I know a lot about gum, margins, perforation, cancellations, overprinting, first day issues, and such. So when I was offered a review copy of Stamp Swap, I immediately said yes. I was keen to find out what the game was like. If Stamp Swap could do for the world of philately what Wingspan did for Birders, that would be amazing. Collecting and trading stamps is a very key part of being a philatelist. You're always looking for stamps you haven't got. Eventually you end up with a surplus of stamps that don't fit into your themed collection, especially when you buy a bag of stamps. So you have to trade those for stamps you do need to complete your collection. Not that you will ever actually complete your collection, of course. The joy of being a philatelist is in discovering new stamps and finding out about their place in history. Stamp Swap emulates the stamp collector's work through drafting and I cut you choose. Every round new stamps are revealed, some face up, visible for all to see, while others are face down, which represents the lucky dip of a bag of stamps you can buy for cheap. Players take turns taking one stamp each until their day's collection is full. Then comes the I cut you choose step, which represents stamp trading. Every player divides their day's collection into two groups. One of the groups will be taken by another player, while you keep the other. Like a clever stamp collector, you need to divide your stamps in such a way that you will be left with the stamps you really need, without giving someone else exactly what they need. It's not easy to find the right balance here, and hate drafting is likely to play a part. After all, if I can see that you need certain stamps to get a lot of points, I'm inclined to take them off you, as long as that doesn't mean I lose out too much myself, of course, and that's the thing. While hate drafting may seem tempting, if you divide your collection cleverly, other players will do themselves a disfavor if they want to be cutthroat towards you. Once everyone has chosen their stamps, it's time to paste them into your stamp book. How you do that will depend on the randomly chosen contest cards, as well as so-called exhibitor cards that you can collect during the game, alongside the stamps that you choose. Of course, the way the contest and exhibitor cards score points will most likely contradict itself. So you have to decide what you focus on each round. You may start collecting yellow stamps, but then pivot and shift your attention to animal stamps. Sometimes you also have to try and group certain types of stamps together to gain points. The game doesn't make it easy. There's a real point seller that you have to negotiate. As someone who loves what I call pattern matching tile-laying games, Stamp Swap is the perfect game for me. Not only do you have to keep an eye on the different ways in which your stamp collection will be scored, but you also need to see what other players are up to. You need to take those stamps you desperately need before anyone else can draft them, but then you have to hope that nobody will steal them from you during the I cut you choose phase. Sometimes you might just take the risk and choose a face down stamp just because it's the right shape, and maybe you're lucky that it is the perfect fit for your collection. Like in so many Stonemaier games, there's a good amount of luck that levels the playing field. While you might be great at spotting patterns, if the stamps you need don't come out, there's nothing you can do. At the same time, the luck element isn't so overwhelming that the game becomes completely random. You always make meaningful and interesting decisions. The game may seem a bit tricky to learn, but believe me, as you start to play, your natural instinct about how something should work will be correct. Also, there's a great rules explanation video that will make learning stamp swap pretty easy. As with all of Stonemeyer's games, the component quality is excellent again. The game comes with a small plastic insert that holds the various stamps. That insert functions as a sort of stamp dispenser during the game. All the other components need to go into baggies though, or they'll fly around inside the box. The illustrations are really beautiful and fitting. Attention has also been paid to color accessibility. All colors are double-coded, in that each stamp's outline design is different for each of the colors. Similarly, the different themes are differentiated not only through the art style, but also with a different background design. That wasn't immediately clear to me from the start, but once we realized that, it was really easy to work out which stamp was supposed to be which color and theme. Stamp Swap is a really chill game. It gives you a sense of what it's like to be a competitive stamp collector. You have to try and make sure you get the right stamps and leave room for them in your stamp book. While you can't swap away stamps you don't need, the game still conveys a sense of stamp swapping. So finally, there's now a board game for philatelists. If you won yourself, or if you want to know what the hobby is all about, then I strongly recommend you give
for
Stamp
listening to
Swap
this
a go.
Tabletop Games Blog's Saturday Review podcast. Please check the description below for links mentioned in this episode, as well as to the written version of this article on the blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us some stars or leave a review. Please also tell your friends about me, and if you want to offer financial support, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links to which you'll find in the blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. So thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you again soon.
This podcast was made possible by the generous help of my supporters. Royal Patron Sean Newman, Magic Champion John Risley, Castle Guards David Miller and James Naylor, Dice Masters Alex Bardi, Paul Grogan and Robin Kay, and Shining Lights Jacob Davis, Gavin Jones, Sarah Reed and Richard Simpson.